Hi, welcome to Around Kitsap. I'm Char Burnett with BKAT, Bremerton-Kitsap Access Television. Around Kitsap allows us to focus in depth on a certain topic, individual, or community events going on around our community. Joining me today is Patricia Graf-Hoek. Patricia is the Executive Director of the Kitsap Peninsula Visitor and Convention Bureau. Also joining us is Stephen Gears. Stephen is the General Manager of the Oxford Suites, the new hotel we see in Silverdale, right on the bay there. Welcome.
Thank you.
Of course, we're going to talk about the Kitsap Peninsula Visitor and Convention Bureau. And we want to hear all about that. But first of all, there's been a location change. There's probably some satellite offices, but Patricia, tell us where you're located now. And congratulations, by the way, on your new position.
Thank you. It's very exciting, and thank you for having us here. We're very happy to be here. Our offices right now are located on Silverdale, on Silverdale Way and Buckland Hill, and we've been there for I think about 6-7 months, and it's a temporary location. We're hoping it's up on a second floor, but we're hoping to relocate within the year to a ground floor space. But originally we were in Paulsbo, and we still have a really wonderful office there, an annex hosted by Dauntless Books, and we have volunteers. They help thousands of visitors a year that are coming off the Kingston Ferry, headed into the Kitsap Peninsula and to the Olympic Peninsula. But that is just a very active office, but we felt that the county commissioners and the board felt that we needed to be a little bit more centrally located. So this is perfect because our territory goes to Gig Harbor to Port Ludlow. So Silverdale is actually a very central location, and it is working out nicely as far as our ability to reach out and take care of our partners.
Good. And it is all about tourism. And Stephen, I understand you have some experience in that, being from Wenatchee. But first of all, I want you to tell us a little bit about your business and the Oxford Suites.
Well, we've been open for 2 years now, and it's been a very successful 2-year opening, the most successful in our company's history.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're a small company. We only have 16 hotels. We're a family-owned company out of Bend, Oregon. Nice. So, I mean, we're not like national chains or like that, but it's a very, definitely a feather in our cap, and we attribute a lot of that to the facility. They didn't spare any expense in the building of it. They really were taking the next step in their progression as a company, so they really put a lot into that hotel, and so it's a fun hotel to go to work at each day and greet guests to the Kitsap Peninsula there. Excellent. So it's been fun.
Do you see most of the guests that come to the Oxford Suites as tourists, or are they here on business?
Well, even business people are tourists.
True.
Thank you.
True.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, with technology and everything, theoretically, people could just talk over the internet nowadays, but they don't. And I think the person-to-person connection will always be a valuable thing.
Good. Now, I understand, Stephen, that you were instrumental in the Wenatchee Valley Visitor Bureau. Compare Wenatchee and Kitsap County.
Well, they're very similar. Our feeder market for leisure travel is the Seattle market, and that's the market that Wenatchee concentrates on to this day. When we started the Convention Bureau there wasn't one. We had chambers. A lot of people don't know there's an East Wenatchee and a Wenatchee. Both of them had their own chambers. And I served on the Wenatchee board, the chamber board. And it was kind of dysfunctional in the fact that everybody was fighting for the same funds just to carve out their own little niche. And I think that in tourism, like any business, I think if you concentrate on your business, the money will come. And I think we needed to put the emphasis on the tourism and the activity of participating in tourism. And so I started, I went to the councils in both cities and with a group, and suggested that we started a valley ride entity that would focus just on tourism. And that's what's thriving today, still with it, and has a lot of confidence of the hoteliers as well as the rest of the community. Yeah.
Which brings us to the Kitsap Peninsula Visitor and Convention Bureau. Patty, tell us about what's the organization, what it's about, who does it serve?
Right. The organization was started in 1983. It was an offshoot, interesting enough, of the Bremerton Chamber, and it's been in operation since that time, and it's grown, and it's had its up and down, of course, with the rest of the economy. We serve a huge number of people and a very wide range of people. In fact, we're in the process of doing our marketing plan and strategic plan, and the number of sales channels that we're really having to think about. Everyone from travel writers to professional planners for conferences, but people relocating to the area. Lots of tourism, lots of tourists, especially from Washington State and Puget Sound, but a lot from California. We had 2 million page views so far in 2009 that we've documented, and 60,000 just from China, Asia. And so a lot of international people that are coming into the Puget Sound area that may be on business or travel. They just are very excited about learning more about the Kitsap Peninsula, so we're really excited about that. Again, we do have our satellite office that's very active in Port Gamble, but again, we have partners in Port Ludlow, Gig Harbor, Kingston, that are all passing out literature to individuals, and we support them.
It's a really tough economy, and how does the economy have its impact on tourism, in a general way and then here locally?
Well, I think Stephen and I were talking about that earlier, and we feel that we're very blessed to be in Kitsap County right now because more and more people are focusing on experiences versus just spending money and shopping, and this is the place to have a fabulous experience, whether it's you're a young person and into kayaking or bike racing or families. We're also a very affordable tourism destination. The hotels are very reasonable. Clearly New York, San Francisco, Las Vegas, a lot of other places like that, those can be expensive. So we feel that the Kitsap Peninsula offers a really affordable getaway, overnight, day, but we like the overnights, fill up those hotels, right? But also, Stephen was mentioning that they've had record sales this year. And so I went to a meeting with Port Madison Enterprises, and Russell Steele was talking about the hotel and the casino, and their businesses are record tourism and visitors, and he believes that's because people don't really want to fly as much anymore, the cost of flying, and certainly now with all what's on the news, the hassles of flying. So we think there's huge opportunities for us. We believe it's an untapped market, though. I think the big draw for those in Seattle, if they're visiting Seattle, is the ferry ride. Absolutely.
It's really fun and beautiful, and you're so excited to get to the other side, and what can you do and what can you see and eat and experience. And I bet that's very interesting as we bring people from Wenatchee area to this side of the mountain, so to say.
I always say the best way to approach Seattle is by ferry. It's the most beautiful view.
and we agree. The ferries are still the #1 tourist attraction in Washington State. However, because our partners include Gig Harbor, we're part of our new marketing strategy, and we have a committee. Our committee in the VCB, our board of directors and advisors, formed a committee and to do the branding and the marketing, and we have come up with a theme line that we really like. It's the natural side of Puget Sound, gateway to the natural side of Puget Sound.
Oh, I like that.
And to take advantage of the fact that you can have all the wonderful urban experiences in Seattle, and then take that wonderful ferry or drive around to Tacoma Narrows Bridge, because our partner Gig Harbor is real important to us, and that's going to be more accessible to use the bridge, and especially during the summer months when the ferries are packed. So we're really trying to let people know that the Tacoma Narrows corridor is also a great way to get to the Kitsap Peninsula. So, but people love the ferry rides.
Patricia, let's talk a little bit about the difference between a Visitor and Convention Bureau and a Chamber of Commerce.
That's a good question. Thank you for asking, Shar. I think that the Visitor and Convention Bureaus have a larger responsibility in marketing the region. The chambers play a really important role in marketing the particular
A focused area.
Yeah, their focused area. In fact, when I was meeting with some of the chambers, I think that it's one of the things I'm trying to do is recognize that, and Stephen again and I were talking about this, is his involvement in chambers, is that the chambers play an important role in their communities. Our responsibility is the Kitsap Peninsula and marketing that for the benefit of all the communities. We get phone calls and requests for information that people aren't going to be calling the chambers. They're going to call the VCB. And we make sure that they know about the communities that we have here. So we think they play an important role, and our goal is to work together with them.
Excellent. Budgets are really tight, especially for marketing. So how are we gonna, VCB, gonna work on that and promote this area in the time of tight budgets? Stephen's like, yeah, I'm ready to answer that.
Well, I'm not sure if I answer. It's always tough for nonprofit organizations, especially when the economy gets tight. You know, it's just you don't have the funds to lend to, exterior groups. Especially ones you might not see a direct correlation with the success of your business. I think the best thing to do is concentrate on the work at hand, and the funds will come. Now, from Patty's standpoint, I think she's a little more closer to the action, where she the funds need to come this month or next month. But as a board member, I know that we need to lend our expertise to make sure that every dime that's spent is going to the right vehicle that's going to give a good return on investment. And in that case, over time, it'll be fine.
And I think Stephen made a point earlier about the internet, and that is something that I'm happy that I was hired at this particular point in time, because the internet is providing huge opportunities to be able to do marketing much more affordably. I was looking at a rate card for Sunset Magazine, and a third-page ad for one issue for 250,000 people was $6,000. One ad, one time in print. Well, with $6,000, we can do huge amounts of marketing on the internet. And most VCBs really recognize that that is their primary marketing strategy. It has to be, because we're getting people from all over the world now that want to see what we have to offer before they buy the ticket.
Exactly.
Which is why it's so important for us to have high visibility on the web and on the internet and be marketing that. So that's going to be our primary strategy. We have a lot of other strategies that we're going to be putting into place. We have just recently hired 2 blog editors. We're hiring writers from newspapers that are looking for work, a lot of them, but still fabulous writers. So we've just hired a woman that's going to be specializing in handling all of our sports and recreation news.
Excellent.
Their tournaments in Kitsap County are huge, and a huge untapped market.
Good.
And
hold that thought. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about marketing to local folks. To us Kitsap residents. But stay with us, we'll be right back around Kitsap. Welcome back to Around Kitsap. We're sitting with Patty Graff Hoke, Patricia Graff Hoke. She's the executive director of our Kitsap Peninsula Visitor and Convention Bureau, and also Stephen Gears, who is the general manager of the Oxford Suites in Silverdale. And we are talking about the Kitsap Peninsula Visitor and Convention Bureau. And before break, I told Patty when we came back we were going to talk about marketing really cool events to people that live here, that already live here. As Patty and Stephen were walking into our facility to prepare for the show today, I had just gotten a call from one of the roller vixens. And roller derby, if you don't know this, is exploding. It was really huge back in the 60s. All over the television when I was growing up in the Midwest. Really fun stuff. And it really is growing and growing and growing again all over Western Washington. So I think what I want to impress upon folks is if you have an event that's coming to Kitsap County, you need to let Patty know. Because Patty will help you market it to those of us in Kitsap that might not know about it.
That's right.
And so let's talk about it. Patty, how do we let people know in Kitsap what's going on in their community? And that's all I'll say.
Well, first of all, our www.visitkitsap.com is a very popular website. I mean, when I've been showing the statistics to different municipalities, I've pointed out to them that actually a huge number of their own residents are visiting the site, and one of the number one pages is the events page. But I also would like to back up and say the definition of tourist. I think that it's really critical for us to start looking at that definition in a much broader way. When you have your sister visiting for a week, is that your sister visiting a relative, or is that a tourist visiting? And I think that that's a problem that we need to overcome and have people really be thinking, anybody who doesn't live here, let's just call them a tourist. And the reason is that you're going to take them out to dinner. You're going to take them to some special place down at the Bremerton Harbor side to see the fountains. You're going to take them to Hansville. You're going to take them to a marina. There's lots of events and activities, including sporting events. My husband and I just went and saw a fabulous hockey game on Saturday at the Bremerton Ice Arena that was just great. And if we'd had out-of-town guests, we would have taken them there. That was just a wonderful, and they have 50 teams that are coming, and 5 tournaments, and a lot of them are staying at the Oxford hotels. They're filling up hotels. So now, are those people attending an event, or are they tourists? So I think our strategy is at the VCB and on our board is anybody who doesn't live here who's visiting, we're going to call a tourist. So. But that also suggests that people who live here, we don't want to leave them out.
Exactly.
And part of the reason is that a lot of the businesses that are designed for or want to serve tourism, they need to stay in business year-round. So we want to make sure that the locals here understand that those businesses need to be supported during the winter months too, so that they'll be here, the restaurants will be able to be open to serve our tourists. So we really encourage the locals to patronize the local businesses, the museums included. On a rainy day, it's a great place to go. And any of the other cultural activities that might be thought of as for tourists, that we want the residents to go and enjoy those too. And you can find out information about all of those events at www.visitkitsap.com.
Very cool. Patty, you send out, is it a monthly or weekly that I get an email from you that says, here's what's going on?
Exactly. We have a monthly e-newsletter that we send out to it's probably about 24,000 subscribers now. Excellent. That goes out once a month. However, we also send out special e-newsletters to targeted groups. And we are expanding that. In fact, we just hired a full-time graphics person that specializes in doing nothing but our constant contacts in-house, so that we can be sending those out to lodging, our lodging partners, when we know about events that are coming that they might want to share with their guests.
Excellent.
So we're going to be doing a lot more of that kind of communication, and it's very affordable.
Excellent.
So which is why we're focusing on that.
Stephen, let's go on to the next topic. And how does tourism partner with economic development, or how are they connected?
Oh, well, I think, whether or not you think of yourself as a tourism destination, I think you should always factor that in. I mean, it's money that comes into the area that the tourists spend, and then they go away, and they theoretically don't utilize those. So sort of extra money on top of all the other profit, or revenue sources that government or municipalities may, receive. That's money just comes right in, and then they go, and it's a great. Well, you look at places that are tourist destination. That is the top. I mean, that's where you want to go because of the quality of life. And I know over in the Wenatchee Valley, as we concentrated more on tourism, it actually affected other businesses. It brought businesses to the area. So when people came over for tourism, they, why don't I live over here if I'm doing my business on the internet or something? So a lot of the offspring companies from Microsoft or something, the CEOs of those companies all now live over there. Why don't, get away just a little bit? And that
Especially
would
if
be
you work at home.
Right, and that's the same thing would hold true to the Kitsap Peninsula. I mean, there's beautiful places to live here and get away, and nowadays
work in your
people.
pajamas.
That's right.
Well, we call it it's green, clean, and it's shovel ready. I mean, we don't need to wait for 18-month building permits. And tourism is a growth industry in Kitsap County. We just got some reports, Runyon reports, and it is the one industry actually that is growing in Kitsap County. It also is providing jobs. Tourism is also one of the key clusters for the 2020 vision for KRCC and KEDA. So we're really...
what is KEDA?
Kitsap Economic Development Alliance. Thank you. Sorry about that. I knew no acronym. And there was a report, Charlotte Garrido, Commissioner Garrido, when she was WSU, did a fabulous report called Kitsap Learns, which is about all the educational opportunities for tourism and hospitality. So we have a trained workforce for tourism. We just think that it's an untapped opportunity, and we want to be competitive with Pierce County and Snohomish County, and hopefully we can do that in this coming year.
I bet we can. Let's talk a little bit before we close about the new opportunities you were talking about, heritage biking.
Oh, right.
Let's hear some more about that.
Yeah, there's, we're just, Stephen and I mean, he's a new board member, and the other board members, Jack Edwards, who's from Comfort Inn, and Diane Robinson, London Gardens, and then Sharon Schrader, former county treasurer, is on our board now, and they've just brought some fabulous ideas. And one of those is a coalition we're forming, is called the Heritage Eco Recreation Coalition. And what that is, the reason that was formed is Kitsap County is home to the outdoor center, which is a very large organization specializing in kayak, kayaking. And then we also have the West Sound Cycle, and there's just lots of recreational types of organization that are really growing in our community. Well, we want to have those folks come and not just take a bike trip. We want them to take a bike trip and stop at maybe there's the art studios in the area, or stop and do a bike trip and go see a 1,000-year-old tree or an estuary, and partner with that. So we've got WSU and their Beach Watchers program. Kitsap County is very interested. Jim Trenner, who specializes in the trees. So we're really bringing all the things that are great about Kitsap County, the heritage, the natural side of Puget Sound, the culture, and the outdoor recreation, which is good exercise, it's healthy, and bring that together and attract tourists for those kinds of activities.
Excellent, excellent. So Kitsap County, we need to check visitkitsap.com. If you are a member of an organization or your child is, and there is an event going to happen in this community, Patty needs to know about it so she can help you publicize it and get folks to your event.
Right.
We want to welcome Stephen to our community. Thank you
you.
so much for joining us. Patty, congratulations. You will do a fabulous job. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us around Kitsap, and please visit www.visitkitsap.com. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time around Kitsap.